Hello fam, how you all doing? Today's topic is quite interesting, not just one. I think I have two main topics in this video. The first one is about men talking about how they get married for convenience, and the second one has to do with how women are being exposed to autoimmune diseases for being in toxic and unhealthy relationships. So let's start off with the toxic and unhealthy relationship conversation.
Women have 80% of autoimmune disease in this society. Disease where the immune system attacks the body happens to women much more than to men. Things like rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, inflammatory disease of the gut. Why? Compulsively concerned with the emotional needs of others rather than their own. Identified with duty, role, and responsibilities that work in the world rather than their own true selves. They tended to suppress healthy anger, so they tend to be very, very nice and peacemakers, and they tended to believe that they're responsible for how other people feel and that they must disappoint anybody. Two fatal beliefs. So these are the people that, according to my observation, but according to a whole lot of research as well that I didn't even know about, these are the people that tend to develop autoimmune disease. Now, in this society, which gender is more acculturated, programmed to suppress their healthy anger, to be the peacemakers, to be the caregivers? Women. This is a function of a reality that a lot of people deny, but it's a patriarchal society, which we can talk about, but it's not a conspiracy.
The man that just spoke, his name is Dr. Gabor Mate. I've posted about him before, and some people were telling me that, oh, he's part of the patriarchy, he doesn't like women and all that. I don't know how true that is, because the videos of him I've seen he never spoke bad about women, so I really can't tell. Anyways, that's not the focus of this video, and that's not the reason why I inserted his clip. We all heard what he said. And this man, he's a Canadian, he's a physician in Canada. His area of specialty is on childhood development, mental health, and trauma. I believe that what he said is not new to a lot of us. We've spoken about this on this channel in different ways. I've spoken about how the society conditions men and women have been conditioned to be more nurturers. Women should be the receivers. They take all the BS from men. They're supposed to be the peacemaker, like he said. They're supposed to be the ones that cater for others and being left out.
So women are, on average, higher in negative emotion and higher in agreeableness. And then there are minor distinctions with the rest of the traits, which I won't go into now because they're much smaller. But on average, women are more agreeable. They're more self-sacrificing in relationship to others, which goes along with their propensity to care for infants, because you have to do that when you care for infants. And they're more threat and negative emotion sensitive. And that might be because, well, you could argue that the world is actually objectively more dangerous for women because they're vulnerable on the sexual front and because they're smaller physically, but also that the world needs to be reacted to some degree as if it's a more threatening place because women are charged with the primary care of infants, and infants are very vulnerable.
I know he said women are more on the negative emotions and also agreeable. It doesn't really correlate. I get the point he's trying to pass across. Women are more agreeable because we don't want trouble. We just tend to be the peacemakers, not because we want to be peacemakers, not because we are happy being peacemakers. Being a peacemaker costs us a lot. It means we suppressing our emotions, we taking the BS just for peace to reign. Because when we try to speak up in relationships, the men we are speaking up to might become violent and we might lose our life in the process. We might never get hurt because we're women. So because of that, a lot of women decide to be agreeable. They take the bullshit in. They take the nonsense in. They decide to be the peacemaker of any situation. They decide to take people's burden and try to be there for others, even when people are not even recognizing them, even when others are not willing to cater for their own needs. But women are the ones overextending grace to people. Women are the ones reaching out to help people, even when they don't feel comfortable to do so, because the society, the patriarchy system, have conditioned women to be that way. And they will always make reference to the fact that women are nurturers because they give birth to kids, so they have that biological nurturing tendency in them. They always make reference to that. So because of that, they have to extend that to the grown-up men that act like big babies in the society. Emotional stress like that from blocked emotions has not only been linked to mental ills but also to physical problems like heart disease, intestinal problems, headaches, insomnia, and autoimmune disorders, which is in line with what Dr. Gabo said. He said women make up the largest population of people with autoimmune disorders due to the fact that they suppress their emotions, their negative emotions. And the reason why they do that is because of the patriarchy, because of conditioning, like I earlier mentioned, and also like Dr. Peterson also mentioned, that women have been conditioned to be agreeable. And that was also what Dr. Gabo was saying. We've been conditioned to be agreeable due to that, and due to the fact that we don't want trouble, we suppress those negative emotions. On this channel, sometime I did mention that men don't know how to express their emotions. They also suppress their emotions. That does not mean that the emotions they are suppressing are negative emotions. You understand? So we have to differentiate it. Men are suppressing their emotions even if they have the upper hand to express it. The reason why they can't express it is because they don't know how to. They were not conditioned to be expressive. Women, on the other hand, are being conditioned to express their emotions. They learned it while growing up, but they cannot continually express their emotions because the society also conditioned them to be agreeable, and them being agreeable means we will be suppressing our negative emotions. Let's talk about the second topic: men marrying out of convenience. Men ending up not marrying the women they love, their dream girls, if that really does exist. I know some people argue and say there's nothing like a dream girl. Anyways, that's not the focus of this conversation. So let's say there is a dream girl. Let's say men have women they love, they die for, they love only one woman. A good number of men don't end up being with that very girl. They marry out of convenience. They don't end up with that girl because of convenience. They want to marry someone else. Maybe the other person they're marrying is readily available for them to marry, and the other person they love wasn't there, so they decided to settle with the person that was available.
Do you feel like most men get married out of convenience?
I think a lot of men do. I wouldn't say most. I feel like a lot of guys do get married out of pressure. Like they've been with their girl for a while. They know they're going to stay with her. Not that they the happiest, but they might have kids with her. It might be their comfort zone, and she pressing them like, it's been 7 years, it's been 10 years, it's been 12 years. A lot of dudes get pressured into it. It's not what they want to do.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be a very weak-minded individual to get pressured into marriage. I'm sorry. But I feel like if someone is with you and maybe you love them, but you don't want to marry them, then break up with them. Don't marry them.
Did he just call 10 years, 12 years pressure? Since he knew he didn't want to be with the girl, why then was he with her? Why did he get into a situationship with her for 10 to 12 years? And you're calling it pressure when the girl demanded a ring, or if the girl demands a ring. What is he doing with her for 10, 12 years without wifing her? Then I don't get it. Men like that are obviously selfish. They know what they're doing. They're selfish and self-centered. And then some people do have kids in the process. They don't want to commit, but they want to get the benefits. Nah, that's not pressure. That's just a greedy, selfish man that is hell-bent on using the woman, and he's just there getting the benefit of being with a woman without actually giving the full commitment. Don't call that pressure. It's just a greedy man.
In my lifetime, I have known a lot of married people, but I haven't known a lot of happily married people. And I chalk that up to the reality that most men don't actually marry their dream girl. They marry the convenient girl. They marry the best choice that was available when they decided that they ought to settle down. You know, they go with the one that looked best on paper, that, you know, adored him the most, that was least likely to leave, the one that asked the least of him and did most of the heavy lifting in the relationship. But she's also the one who several years later, when life gets difficult, he won't really fight for. In 2024, holding the title of the wife isn't really such a prize. And divorce, marital satisfaction, and infidelity rates, the statistics support that. So maybe if we realized this and got a little more practical in how we approach marriage, not with the idea that it's happily ever after, there would be less disappointment in the end for both men and women.
I totally agree with her. A lot of people are not realistic. Some people don't like the truth. They don't like telling themselves the truth. Choosing to be with someone else is a whole lot. There's a whole lot for you to factor in. Number one, both of you are from different backgrounds. Even if you're from the same environment, you were raised by different family. You might have similar view to life, but there's always a difference. You get what I mean? As an individual, you've got your dreams and aspirations. Same applies to your spouse. So you need to sit down and have the proper conversation. Some people are good at gaslighting. You need to iron things out. You need to talk about those things, have those difficult conversations. But a lot of people don't converse. They don't talk about the important things. They run into marriage. While in the marriage, they get to discover each other's baggages, problems, what they would have discussed before and agreed if you want us to be together, you have to work on this and decide to make changes. But if you refuse to make changes, I can't be with you. They don't do that. They jump into it and jump out.
Marriage is not the problem. It's the approach that people take towards marriage. For a lot of people, marriage is this bucket list they want to check off. It's a goal for them. But true marriage is not a goal. It's a calling. Like, I feel called to be your husband. It's as if God tapped me on my shoulder and say, listen, this is the woman I want you to serve. This is the woman I want you to provide for and protect and give provision to. It's much easier to walk away from a goal when it's too hard, when you don't want to do it anymore. But you can't walk away from a calling. That's something that's in you. That's responsibility that's given to you. But here's the truth. A lot of people are not called to do this because they're not willing to let go of their ego. They're not willing to let go of their selfishness. They're not willing to serve other people. They are only focused on what they can get rather than what they can give.
The woman I married is not the woman I have loved the most.
Right. What the is going on?
I've been with my wife for 14 years. She's an amazing spouse, partner, mother, and I'm happy with the beautiful family we've made. That being said, my one true love is a woman I was with right before I met my wife. This woman and I dated for 3 years. She changed my life. She introduced me to so much. She was the only person I trusted enough to pour my heart to. Even my wife, I can't do this with. She was my perfect match, compatible in every way. No one has made me laugh like her, made me feel pure, unadulterated happiness as much as she has. And I've never been with a lover that I felt as physical and emotionally connected as I am with her. If there are soulmates, she was mine. The short time we were together, we planned out our lives together forever. Unfortunately, she needed to leave the country. Her parents were in an accident that killed her father, leaving her mother in need of care. I was serving the military, fresh out of college, and I couldn't go with her. We tried to make it work, but it became clear we wouldn't be together for at least another 3 years. She became more withdrawn after the accident and resented me for not being able to be with her. I could feel the separation was slowly destroying us, so I set her free. The best thing for the both of us. Don't think I'll ever forget our time together. As much as I love my wife, I know the love between us is not as real as me and my ex. I married my wife out of convenience. And
because, this is horrible.
a few years back, I got in contact with my ex again. She's married too with kids, but she's also never forgotten and is still in love with me and wishes things could have been different.
That's very fucking sad.
That's fear. That's a fear, bro. Could you imagine? Could you actually imagine, he's basically saying, yeah, my wife's great and all, she gave me kids, she gave me a family, she gave me a future, but I like this babe. That's what he's basically saying.
Not enough. He's like, the whole topic today is you really can't trust anybody.
No, you can't trust anyone.
You just can't fall in love.
Yeah. It's scary.
It's not safe out there.
Well, as this is not what I've been saying, men only have one love.
Here's the question. So do you think men have just one true love? Men have just one dream girl? What do you think about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Click this video to watch men talk about why they can't endure no contact from women, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.